Now, in any business, there are 3 levels, okay? And yes, you want to have less people working for you in terms of your revenue. That's pretty obvious, efficiency, effectiveness of business. But we are looking at from the perspective of number of people working, okay? And there's a reason I'm covering that. Because if let's say, yeah, I mean, think of it this way, right? At one point, WhatsApp only had about a couple of hundred people working for them, but they were worth quite a few billions. But you could have in hotel 200 people working for you, and you're not even worth maybe 10 million. Okay, so there's a major difference. Okay, so we're not talking about that bit, even though that's an important aspect. But we're talking about just how many people work for you. From the point of when you are just a one single person, that's not a business. That's just self-employment. Okay? Regardless of how you're structured online, it doesn't really matter. When you get to a team of 5, it's when you have a what I call a micro business. Okay, when you go from 5 to 50, you have a small business. Okay, when you go 50 to 250, that's when you have a medium-sized business. 250 beyond, you are a large business. Okay. Yes, you want to find a business that will allow you to maybe hire only 10 people and be worth 10 billion. Great, that's a technology business for you. It can't be anything else these days. But that's not the case in most cases. We're talking about property. So, yeah. What's that? Yeah, just put them in the washing machine. Okay, leave it there, I'll do it. So you want to get from a point of where you are just a one-man band to a team of at the very least 50 plus. Because if you're not at 50, you're not profitable. Let me share with you something that I've been through as a personal experience, okay? When you're a one-man band, you're actually profitable. When you go from 1 to 5, you're still profitable. Even sometimes up to 10, depending on the business you're in, you're still profitable. You go between 10 and 50, you actually start to lose money. Okay, that's because you have more people working for you, more salaries, and in most cases, you're not positioned well enough to be really profitable. You could be making little profit, but not necessarily massively profitable. Okay, your aim needs to be in property is either stay below 5 or 10, between 5 and 10, okay, or go beyond 50. Okay, because the space between 10 and 50 is just pain. Okay, that's the space I am in at the moment. Okay, it's painful space. It's not necessarily as profitable, but then once you go beyond 50, we become a business, what you call it. Okay, I could be away. I don't need to work. I could be anywhere in the world. The business still makes money. It doesn't need me at all. For that matter, it needs me very little. Okay, I would never say it needs you never. It just needs you very little.
Oh wow, Easter.
Right for the operations. Okay.
That's cool.
Who's that?
When I was sharing with you yesterday, knowing that I want to get to that 100-room hotel, plus, and we're looking at a few more. That's because that space is way more comfortable. You know, let's say 3 cleaners don't turn up. Doesn't really matter. We have 20, right? They can cover. They can work extra hours. It's all done. It's all looked after. I don't need to be physically here. There are a few managers, supervisors doing everything. Okay? The only time I'm required here is when if there's a place case, if there's a major decision to be done in terms of how the company is structured, or if there's a major decision to be done in terms of marketing or sales or anything, that's when I'm required. Other than that, I'm not. Okay. I'm talking about going from, you know, either sort of one-man band all the way up to 50. You want to be at 50. Okay. If you're not at 50, I promise you, you'll always be in pain. I used to run a company that we built from scratch to
the toilet.
Okay, and I can show you that's not a profitable space. Okay, even though you're very well known, there's all sorts of things happening. People know you. People like, you know, they think you're really wealthy. In most cases, because your business still is depending on you. That's the biggest problem. One of the biggest things you'll see in business valuations is if the business depends very little on you, let's say 1%, you will get a really good valuation. And if the business depends a lot more on you, you'll get very, very little valuations. Okay. And this applies to any business, not just. So you'll get very little valuation if you don't have a lot of people working within the business. So depending on you. Now, let's take this into the context of property. Okay. You have only two strategies in property at the core, which is either cash flow or capital growth. Okay. Capital growth, I don't necessarily recommend unless you're sitting on loads of money and you want to just put some of that money away into capital growth. That's fine. You buy a property in London. In fact, if you compare between capital growth and cash flow, capital growth will always in the long term pay you more because you're sitting on passive capital growth and so on. So it's better, but at the same time, you don't want to be focused on that unless you're sitting on substantial capital of your own and you say, you know what, I just want to put some of this on capital. Okay. We're not going to cover that. Capital growth is pretty simple. You buy something in London or Southeast, there is a lot of capital growth. You can check the stats on Zoopla, right? All of that. It's pretty easy stuff. Okay. You want to focus on cash flow. Okay. Even if you want to focus on, let's say, capital growth, you could invest into blocks of flats, stuff like that. It's pretty decent capital return. Okay. Plus, you get good cash flow as well, depending on the location. Okay. But then we're talking about cash flow. Cash is king, has always been king. It will always remain king, irrespective of what anyone says. It'll give you freedom. It'll give you your time. It'll give you a life. It'll give you lifestyle. It'll give you whatever you want. It's very, very simple. Okay. If I was to take you back and everything that I share, again, with a lot of humility, it's not bragging, it's just sharing so you can see it in your context and see how it applies to you. Okay. If you look at me, the reason I've kind of moved north is because I want to focus on. Okay, I've got enough properties on the capital growth market. I don't need to focus anymore. It's decent couple of £1 million. Okay, I don't need anymore. I am at a certain age where all I think about is, you know what, there's more cash coming in. I can enjoy my life. I have more freedom. I can spend more time with family. And you probably saw that an example yesterday. Okay, 3 o'clock, I'm done here. I'm done. 99% of PEN is on automation. Okay, the only stress that I get is between 10 and 3 when obviously we're still small here. I get a bit of pressure. But everything else is on automation. 99% of PEN on automation, only because I planned it right from day one. I'd rather make less money, but be on complete automation. Okay. So shall I cover PEN, how it's structured and see how it applies to you, or shall I cover cash flow strategies? In fact, they're both correlated. If you know what I mean. Which one would you like me to cover first? Cash flow strategies. Okay, so
cash flow, yeah.
You can all see what I'm doing at the moment. Very obvious to you. Okay, I'm investing up north. I looked at HMOs, and I'll tell you how I came to the conclusion of this, so you can see the context around it as well. Okay, if you look at HMOs, great strategy, no denial. You build 5 of them. You've got 5,000 net cash coming in. You don't have a lot of work to do. You've got management companies doing it. How long will it take you to do 5 of them, depending on the resources you have? You could do them in 2 years, 3 years. You could do them in 5, depending on the resources you have, and so on. Okay. However, when you look at a HMO, it's going to take you, depending on how skilled and how driven you are, it's going to still take you at least 3 to 5 years to build maybe 5 HMOs, which are going to pay you 1,000 each, hypothetically, let's say a 6-7 bed HMO, net cash flow. Okay. Because remember, on a HMO, you've got almost 60% that goes into expenses. 40% is left out. So if you're making 3 grand on a per month on a HMO, you're probably left with barely 1,000, maybe 1,200. Okay, the rest just goes into mortgages and all of that. And then when the interest rates start to go up, you'll see that that net cash flow dwindling down to a point where you have no cash flow. Okay, if the interest rates go up to 10%, you'll have no profits from HMOs. Pretty simple. Okay, but why I still think HMOs is a great strategy, because going long term, people are not going to be able to afford properties. They're eventually going to end up in shared accommodations, which it's an it's an upward trend of HMOs. Okay, but that comes third in the list of most profitable. The first is planning uplifts. Second is hotels for me. And notice I said for me. Is it for you or not? You have to test yourself. Okay. Remember, every person is different. How much pressure can I take and how much pressure can you take is can completely be different. Okay. How much work can I do and how much work do you do? Completely different. You have to know yourself. Okay. I can take you through a one-to-one coaching session so you get to know yourself a bit more. But you do need to know, you don't want to jump into something not knowing what it entails, leading to a point of frustration. Okay. Hotels can frustrate the hell out of you if you don't know. Okay. So you want to make sure that if you get into hotels, that you know what it entails. And I was explaining some of it to you yesterday. Okay. It comes with its own challenges, people complaining, people mourning, all sorts of things. Right? Stupid people not being able to use keys. But it comes with its own challenges. Cleaners not turning up on time, all sorts of things. Booking number. It can happen. It can happen. I promise you. Yeah. Okay. Like I said, it comes with its own challenges. But okay, so let's talk about these three strategies. Okay, there's the HMOs, the hotels, and the planning approach. So let's cover hotels first. Okay. I have compared hotels around the country on different locations. The most profitable location that I found is Blackpool. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean that you come into Blackpool and you invest. You choose if you want to invest in Blackpool, you want to invest somewhere else. But remember, every location has its own ROI limits, and that you need to calculate and do your own due diligence. Okay. Yes, you can find hotels on leases, long leases. You can find hotels on freehold, depending on the resources, depending on how much skilled you are to be able to raise external funding. All sorts of things play a part. Okay. We have raised a bit of money externally to be able to invest into hotels here. We have some of our own skin in the game here. We are looking to grow it to, the first step is 100 rooms. And the second step is potentially 1,000 rooms. But either we get there or we don't. That's a story. That's something we need to. It's almost like I'm testing my own strengths or my own limits to where I can get. Okay. But the first step is 100 rooms. If I was to share the screen here as well, and I can show you the screen. I'm going to share my screen, guys, so you can see through. It's okay. That's okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Marlon. Hi, Ali. Hi, Suraj. So if you can see my screen, it's just loading at the moment. By the time it loads, I can share some numbers with you. Okay. So we opened this hotel on booking.com on the 11th of March. 11th of March. So it's been a month and 5 weeks on this one. And we opened the Osprey on 26th of March. So it's been 3 weeks. So 5 weeks on Belrive and 3 weeks on Osprey. We've already got from booking.com 26,000 pound worth of bookings on the two hotels. Okay. And we have about just shy of 4,000 pound worth of cash bookings. So about 30,000 pound worth of bookings between the two hotels. Okay. And I've only opened the hotel till the end of summer holidays, which is the 4th of September. Okay. So I think, guys, you can probably see my screen here. So can you see here on Osprey, it's 8,600 pound worth of bookings minus the commission, which is 1,400. It's a little over 7,000 pound here. On first page, there's a second page. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying I can see it. Fine. Yeah, thanks.
The first page is 7,000 net after booking.com commission. And on the second page, we have another 2,300 minus the 390. Yeah, about 2,000. So about 9,000 rand worth of bookings on Osprey. And then on Belrive, we have about 20 something thousand. I go back here. this is about 3 and 4 pages. So I'm happy to show you, but we're looking at, like I said, about 30,000 worth of bookings. Like you can see all of this yourself. I'm going to move the laptop here. So this is the second page. 2300 minus 390, so about 2,000. Yeah. And then if I go back to the first page, sorry, the loading is taking a bit of time. Yeah. I'll see you guys soon. Sorry, this is taking a bit longer. Yeah, just leave it there. Rubesh, just put it in the kitchen now. Okay, so if you look at this page. Thank you, Love. Thank you. So you can see there's another about 7 grand plus with the bookings on that.
Yeah, that's.
No,
Yeah, but that's you have to count for that. Otherwise, they're not pushing your
exactly. Yeah.
But then collect all the contacts. Then you build your own database, and then you do directly, and then you just work on this 1400, and you can avoid that one. It's just for
Don't worry, I'll let you know that you can. All right, cheers, thank you. That's you can probably see about how many, about 9 grand worth of bookings. Yeah, about 9 grand worth of bookings. And then on Belrive, because we opened quite early, there's about, let me just check how many bookings we have. And September. Let's have a look. So if you look at this is the first page, 6,000 minus 900, let's call it 5,000. Yeah, say 5,000. That's first page. How many did we have on our screen? 9,000, right? Net,
Yeah.
9,000 net. 9,000 net. We are on page 2, it's loading. Yeah. How much was on page 1? 5,000. So 9 plus 5, 14. 14 and call it 7.5. Yeah. 7.5. Yeah. Yeah. 1,300 minus 8,800. 7.5. So 9 plus 5, 14, 14 and 7.5, 21.5. And that's net. Yeah. And that's the third page. Um, 2.5, 3.5. Yeah, that's about 25,000. 25, yeah. So I had a few cancellations, but 25. Like I said, about 4 grand worth of cash bookings. Okay, about 29. Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing. And I'll share with you how it works. So we are open till the end of summer holidays yet. We haven't opened the whole year yet. Okay, if I open that, it just goes off the hook. Okay, we have to control things how we add seasons and we kind of go. To give you an example, these hotels would normally do, a 10-bed hotel would normally do anywhere between about 1,000 to 1,500 a week. Okay, and that's a 10-bed hotel. Okay, so you could do between 50,000 to about 70, 80,000 a year. You'd probably do just shy of 50% in profits. Shy of 50% in profits. Yeah. The reason being, and I'll tell you the trick. The trick is that the rooms at the back cover 50% of the rental. Private accommodation covers 50% of the rental. So this hotel's rent is £1,000 a month. £1,015 to be precise, okay? And I'm covering about 500 from the room at the back. So I'm only paying about 500 for this hotel a month. Okay. Likewise, the other hotel as well.
Yeah.
In fact, on that one, there's 2 rooms in the basement. I can rent those out at 250 each. That's 500, and I can rent the space at the back for almost 400. That would cover pretty much the whole of the rent of the property. Yeah. So in essence, I'd be paying maybe a couple of £100. Okay. So when you look at the turnover plus the rental that's coming from the back, you're in more than, you're just shy of 50% profits. Okay. On that one that we're taking, the third one, we have New Drina. On that one, we have the 2-bedroom space, private accommodation that's already agreed with someone at 600 a month. The rent, 600 a month. The rent on that is 1,000. And then I have a bar downstairs, which I'm going to rent out. That's already agreed at 400. So I'm covering the rent from just the private accommodation downstairs and the bar downstairs. Okay. So pretty much when you look at the formula of these hotels, we don't have any rent in essence. Okay. No rent. And you do about, let's say even in the worst case scenario, you do 4,000. Out of the 4,000, you're only paying the cleaners and you're paying the utility bills. You pay 1,000 to cleaners, and you pay in the worst to the worst case scenario, maybe 500-600 in utility bills and maintenance and all that, 500-700 maybe. So you're still left with more than 50% of the profit margin. And that's in the worst case scenario. If you look at the best case scenario, you could be doing, 5,000-6,000 a month. And you are, and like I said, we're still only using booking.com. We are not on Expedia, which owns 220 online channels. And we still haven't started doing direct marketing. And I think you guys all know I'm good at marketing. Okay. So by the time you start to do all of this in the long term, you're probably looking at over 50% profit. Are you with me on this? Okay. So and then I'm leveraging the proximity and the volume. Remember, the main point here is, and anyone who's looking at this needs to understand, the reason I'm able to become more profitable than most is because I'm using proximity and volume as a leverage. Okay, I could be sitting on, in let's say the worst case scenario, on 100 rooms. Okay, I'd still be sitting on decent $250,000 in profits, decent $250,000, maybe even more. At the very least, $250,000 in profits, and that's with a lot of freedom, without necessarily having to work a lot. I'd probably be working 2 or 3 hours a day. Okay. And that's after paying the investors. Because remember, these are very profitable. So for me to pay off the investors, it's pretty easy. Does that make sense? Okay. You can all see there's barely any rent. In fact, the 21 bed that's under legals now, that has a 4-bedroom private accommodation. And I'm going to rent out each room. And here are the numbers. Do you want to do the numbers? You'll be surprised. The rent of the hotel is £9,000 a year. That's £750 a month. I'm gonna make more from the private accommodation than what I'm gonna pay in rent, covering everything. And that's a 21-bed hotel. If you do the average of £50 a room at 50% occupancy, that is a massive number. Okay. Okay. Now, let me clarify everything with everyone, because it's getting recorded. Some of you watching here, hi Lavanya. If you think it's easy, think again. And I'll tell you why. If you ever watch a snooker player, professional snooker players, they do 142 without a hiccup, without a break. And it feels like, wow, like this can't be hard. Try and play snooker. Try and play snooker, okay? It will blow your mind away trying to get maybe 10 or 20 points in a row, okay? That's because they are practiced and they are very well skilled. When you're looking at me, again, with a lot of humility, I'm a very, very skilled person, okay? I can make look something very, very easy just because I have practiced it for a long period of time, okay? If you haven't practiced this, you don't have the patience, it will frustrate the hell out of you. Okay, I literally had a day yesterday when I had no cleaners turning up, and I had 13 rooms to be done, 13 rooms to be cleaned. I had no cleaners I was expecting. Okay, Yesterday was the only day in the last 2.5 months that I've been here that I was stressed. Okay, and I don't use the word stress easily. Okay, so I can take stress in a very different way than most people. Okay, I don't feel the pressure. I don't take stress. Worst case scenario, people turn up. I tell them I don't have a room. I'll just refund you money. I don't care. I lose a little bit of money. I'm not going to take stress. Okay, I was under a little bit of pressure, not necessarily a lot. But again, the reason I'm saying this, please do not take this lightly that this is easy. It is work. It takes a lot of work initially to set it up, raise your money, negotiate these hotels, get them over the line, setting them up. Now I have done the basic setup, which I think you can all see we're still going through it. I've done the basic setup. So now it's a bit more easier. Okay. Even if there's guests in the hotel, I have cleaners, I have people running around doing things. I started this with the number of people that you have the business with. At the moment, I have 12, maybe about 13 people working for me. Okay. And as soon as we get to that 100 mark of hotels, we're probably going to be touching 40 and 50. Okay. Okay. Either put full-timers and part-timers and all sorts of things. Okay. And that's a comfortable position. Now, my question to you would be in terms of cash flow. And I'm not saying you turn up to Blackpool and start buying here. That's not what I'm saying. If you want to do that, be my guest. That's up to you. There's loads of hotels. There's 862 hotels. Okay, there's enough for everyone. Okay, my question to you is: would you like to build 5 or 10 HMOs in the next 5 or 10 years, trying to create 5 or 10,000 pound income, or would you like to create £1 million income and create something that's going to last you at least 2 centuries before the 3rd century, not century, sorry, 2 generations, and before the 3rd generation comes and ruins everything? That's pretty obvious. And how long would it take you to get to maybe 100 rooms? If you're driven, you could do it in 3 to 5 years. Okay. Yes, it's a full-time business, but once you get to 100 rooms, you're not going to be required a lot. You're going to be required 3 hours a day. Okay. So it's a choice. You go towards HMOs. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad strategy. It's a great strategy. But then when you compare it, you make a choice, and that's your choice, and you live with it. Okay. Any questions you want to ask in terms of the strategy that I'm sharing? I've shown you some numbers. I know they're not full numbers, but I don't have full numbers to show you. What I can show you is, what I can tell you is, just over this Easter weekend, each of these hotels was making £700-800 a day. Okay, because they were on full prices. They were not discounted. For example, today is a quiet day. If you go and check, the rooms are discounted. They're like 30 and 40 and 50 pounds, which barely covers the cost of running the machine, if you know what I mean. Once you get to this Friday and Saturday, and then those holiday periods, we're charging, I mean, our 5-bedroom, 5-people room is up for £120 a day. Okay, on summer holidays, and it's going. I just had a booking half an hour ago, a double room, £72. Now that's profitable. Occupancy on average in this region, coming from a person who's been doing this for over 30 years, okay, 52%. I normally take it as 50%. If you do a good job, if you do a bad job, you're going to be lower. But if you do a good job, you're going to get 50%. Okay. I always say that there are 3 phases in running any business. The first is being able to find a deal, being able to raise external money. The 3rd step is making it profitable. And it takes a certain kind of person to be able to first find the right deals, second to raise external funding, and it takes a very, very different person to make a business profit. Okay, and when I say a different person, what I mean to say is someone who is resilient, really resilient in times of difficulties. You will have difficult times. You will have times when the cleaners don't turn up. You'll have times when you're short of cash flow. You need to learn how to raise that money. Okay, there's going to be times when something like COVID hits and you have to just close the damn thing down, pay from your pocket. Okay, you have to be resilient. You can't build a large business when you are not resilient. Okay, and I think patience, persistence, and resilience sit at the core of making a project profit. Either you're working on a hotel or a HMO conversion or a capital growth strategy, either planning uplifts. If you do not have the patience, persistence, and resilience, cliche, but if you don't have that, you're just gonna struggle. Very, very simple. Okay. But if you compare, like I said, cash is king, compare it to other strategies in the region, and for that matter, other strategies within the property business, I find hotels as the fastest cash cow that I can think of. I cannot think of anything else. I never claim that there is none other, because there's always something there that we don't know. What I'm saying is, this is what I know. Sorry, bad. So, do you have any questions in terms of hotels as a cash flow strategy? It's a pretty simple formula. You go and find a lease hotel or freehold. We are looking at freeholds at the moment. We're looking at one which is a sea-facing 46-bed up for 900 and something, just shy of 1 million. And we're looking at another one which is a 45-bed off the sea, just one of the streets around the corner, up for just shy of 700. Okay, and we are literally negotiating those two as we speak. Okay, and then obviously we have the 21-bedder, which is under legals. That's a lease hotel, but eventually we want to get to a point where we have larger hotels. I've actually spoken with someone with 700 plus hotel, one single hotel, 700 plus rooms. I'm pretty sure many of you would be able to check that because there's only two. Okay, but we are negotiating that. We are trying to get hold of the people so we can see if we can get that. Okay. Now, again, question goes back. Would you like to focus on, developments, which is becoming harder and harder and difficult to find deals, difficult to find funding for it? Would you like to focus on HMOs, which are very difficult to again find and do the whole thing? Again, nothing ever is easy. I'm not saying easy. Hotels are easy. But when you compare the three, I just find hotels as a lot more profitable, long-term, not short-term, please. Okay. I've barely managed to cover the cost in the last 2 months of setting it up. Okay, we've spent just in these two smaller hotels, £7,000 just setting it up. I've barely covered the cost of setting it up in the last 2 months. Okay, so it's all about logical money comparisons and the return on investments. When you start doing that, and it's not very difficult to do it, if you put it on spreadsheets, and I've done this, you're going to find that hotels are a lot more profitable. Okay. Any questions between the lines? Yes, we're going to take freeholds. Yes, we're going to take freeholds. It's bigger ones. Yes, John, go ahead.
When you see these hotels for lease, it says like 15,000 per year or 15,000. Is that the money you give the current landlord to clear off and you take over the lease that's existing, or is that the lease per year for the length of lease that you take?
No, John, if you see the lease money, that's paid just once.
That's
just paid once.
So it's
not every year.
So that's their clear off money. That's goodbye.
Yeah, just once. Yeah, you either take the existing lease or you take a new lease. You pay the goodwill just once, and once you paid that, you get a renewable lease. Do not sign a non-renewable lease because then you'll be losing out. You need to sign a renewable lease under the Landlords and Tenants Act, allowing you to renew that lease for absolutely free. And
so
then you pay an annual rental. That's all.
And how do you? I don't see the annual rentals displayed. Is that the same as the?
It normally is displayed.
Payment?
No, John, it's normally displayed.
Is it?
So when you look at the hotels, it would say, let's say if it's a small hotel, it'll probably say 25,000 lease, and then it'll probably say 10 or 12,000 pound per annum rental on that.
I've seen that with the freehold, but I haven't seen it on leases. They just put one leasehold 27,000.
No, if you scroll down, it says rental on all of them.
Okay, all right, that's what I'm missing. Thank you.
Okay.
And how much do you think you need to get one of these up and running once you've leased it or bought it?
Give me a size.
Let's say 10 or 12 beds.
So John, to give you an example, on a 10-bed, forget about a 10-bed. If it's a lease hotel, you pay about 3,000 a room.
3,000 a room.
About just shy of 3,000 a room. Okay. In a decent location, that's what you'd pay. In a bad location, you might only pay, 1,500 a room. Okay. But in a good location, you'd pay just shy of 3,000 a room on lease. And if you're buying a freehold, you'd pay about 15,000 a room
Right.
in this
Have-
region.
Are you working on some kind of spreadsheet of good area, bad area of Blackpool, where to and where not to invest?
Okay, so think of Blackpool as a party town. Okay, it's just nothing else, just party town. Okay,
Right.
people come for drinks, drugs, and sex. Okay, that's all they come for.
Okay.
And yeah, that's what they come for. That's what they come for, and you need to be prepared for that. Okay, it comes with its own challenges. I don't think there's any good or bad area, but I would say stick to the strip, which is the promenade. I would not go beyond the strip itself, because then they become lower occupancy.
Right.
Okay, so I'd stick to the strip. So we are in the most premium location at the moment. We are in Central Pier, right in the middle of the town, with 2 minutes walking distance to the beach. So Belrive is probably the most premium location you'd find. Charnley is still slightly off, but not too far off. We're still right in the middle of the town. And from the windows, you can actually see the tower. So we're still, both of these hotels that we have at the moment are very much the most premium location in Blackpool. Okay.
So you're saying that the clients want their sex, drug, and rock and roll on the doorstep?
Yeah.
Noreen is saying yes behind the laptop. Yes. Yes. And she's right. Okay. But again,
Okay.
if you look at generally life, you're going to find money where these three things are. Okay. In fact,
Right.
one of the hotels that we were negotiating, which he pulled out, I drove past yesterday. It was full as hell. And I was like, shit, if he had not pulled out, that's a cash cow.
That would have been cool. Okay. And the other thing is that with this development of £300 million, they're going to need contractors. Can we not take a small hotel and use it as a contracting hotel to put them in?
You could.
Is
You
there
have to do your
ground?
numbers. You have to do your numbers. I had someone ask me this question a couple of days ago as well. You have to crunch your numbers. I don't know how they will work. You have to work if it works for you. Okay. Because remember, contractors can come here and they can find a room for 300 a month. Okay. So you have to crunch your numbers to say, okay, 300 a room. There's 10 rooms here. You know, how many, would you be able to rent out 7 rooms? So you have to work your numbers out. Okay.
All right. Yep. Good point. Good point.
Okay.
Hi, Jack.
Yes. Hi, Suraj.
Jack, just wanted to find out, the hotels you have taken over, are they all on lease or they freehold?
So at the moment, we are taking most on lease. We are negotiating a couple of them freehold. These are large hotels, just shy of £1 million. Another one, which is actually over 10 million. But at the moment, what we have is our own lease.
They're all on lease, okay.
Have your hand up. Do you have a question?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to go back to the freeholds. Are you sort of using external investors to buy the property, the freehold properties?
The answer is
How are you
yes.
doing that?
The answer is yes, Ali.
And then you just guarantee them a return on investment on their money.
So at the moment, I'm only giving them a certain return on investment. However, going long term, when we start to get the 10 million ones, I may propose a hybrid partnership, sleeping partnerships. Does that make sense?
Okay, so they have no part
Very
to
good.
play in the equity of the freehold at the moment. They
not at
just
this
get
moment,
return
not
on
at
their
this moment.
cash.
Not at this moment of time, no. At the moment, they only have a return on investment. I give them their money. Once I've made the money, I get them back. These hotels are mine.
Okay, so they're just getting return on investment. They're not getting their cash back
No, they're getting their cash back plus their return on investment.
over a certain period of time.
That's right, yes. But like I said, in the long term, I would be proposing a partnership where they'd own the shares of the company, but that would be in future sometime, not now.
Okay.
Jack,
And second question I wanted to ask was, in terms of marketing of your hotels, are you sort of using just the current sort of market strategy that the hotel existingly has to market your hotel continuously, or are you just starting afresh?
No, so let me answer this question rather than the word afresh. Okay, so when you take on a hotel, booking.com does not allow duplicate accounts, so you have to ask for your booking.com account to be transferred to you. Okay, they will not let you allow you to create a duplicate account, which I did initially, and I had to really struggle with them for like a month before they deleted my duplicate account and gave me the access to the previous account. So booking.com does not allow you to have duplicate accounts. So does many other channels as well. Okay, so you have to take on the previous accounts. 90% of the market is booking.com. Okay, massively 90% is owned by booking.com. The rest of the 10% or 20% maybe are owned by Expedia, even though Expedia owns 220 online channels. So you have to use these channels to fill your rooms till you get to a point where your direct marketing is good enough to attract, and then you don't necessarily pay that 50%. Ali, I hope that answers your question.
Well, the thing is, I was just not sure because on booking.com, there's always the rating side of things, you know. So have you rebranded the hotels, or people are still going by the reputation of the hotel that you've taken over from the past?
When you get access to the account, Ali, you get everything from what they brought forward. So if their rating was 6, you got a 6.
Okay, fine.
So
okay.
You can't change that unless
Okay.
I have not actually tested this to tell booking.com to delete that and give you a new fresh account. I didn't ask for that. I didn't want to, because there's already reviews in there, even though they're not necessarily best reviews, but they're still reviews. And I think starting fresh would actually be a more disadvantageous point rather than starting from, you know, a fairly medium reviews, if you know what I mean. Okay.
Okay.
I'd rather
Thanks.
take medium reviews than no reviews at all. Yes.
Okay.
So that was my decision. Again, I don't know if booking.com will allow you to delete the previous account, create a new one, but my understanding is that they don't allow you to duplicate. And eventually you want to get to a point, Ali, and everyone who's watching, is that you have more direct bookings because you don't have to pay the 15%. Okay, and we are gonna push really hard for direct bookings because I don't want to necessarily pay all of this money. I mean, if you look at the booking portals that I just showed you, there's 25,000 worth of bookings, 25,000 into 15%. That's the kind of money they've made from me within not even a couple of months or 5 weeks for that matter. Okay, so you want to potentially be taking that 15%, investing into direct marketing, and then those people become loyal and stick around with you and keep coming back. Okay, and then you will see a lot of repeat customers here as well. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Useful. Okay.
Good stuff. Any other questions, anyone?
Hey, I have Jack. I have one more question.
Go on.
Jack, when you get a hotel in lease, just say, any of your hotels, just say for about up to 15 beds. Can you work it? Tell us how much exactly. You sort of paid for the goodwill and other expenses.
So I was sharing that earlier. I was sharing that earlier, but I'll quickly cover it. Okay. So you'd pay, if you're taking lease hotel, you'd pay about just shy of 3,000 rooms. Depending on the number of rooms, so let's say if it's a 10-bed, you'll pay 25,000-30,000 lease. Rental-wise, you'll pay about 1,000 for a 10-bedroom. If it's a 15-bed, you pay about 1,500, and so on and so forth. If you're buying freehold, you'll pay about 15,000 each. So if it's a 10-bed, you pay about 150, 160,000. Okay. Return-wise, depending on how you structure it and how you play with the money. If you're buying lease, you can rent out the rooms at the back private accommodation. You can cover half of the rent. That gives you a leverage that allows you to make more money. I would say you could be, if you do a good job, you could be sitting on 40 to 50% profit margin. If you do a good job. If you do a bad job, I'm sorry, you could lose money. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Another thing. I saw in your spreadsheet there's a one of those hotels for about 160, and I saw freehold, some freehold 160. So to buy that hotel, how much capital do we need?
You need because you don't have experience of hotels, so you need about 50%. You can leverage 50% with debt. 50%.
Okay. Okay. So if we have an experience of running a restaurant stuff, would that work?
No.
No. It has to be a hotel.
It has to be a hotel. If you have
Okay.
experience, then you can leverage up to at 65. In some cases, maybe up to 75 as well.
All right. Okay. No,
You
worries.
have to have a very good track record to get 75%.
Sure.
So
Thank-
when we are
thank
looking
you.
at freeholders, bigger hotels, initially we'll only be able to leverage anywhere between 50 to 60%. Because I have a little bit of experience now, I can show it, and obviously other property experience, I may be able to leverage it up to 60%. But no more.
Okay. Lovely. Good to know.
Questions?
Thank you.
Jack?
Yeah.
The mainly the landlords who are leaving, selling their properties by lease or freehold, what's the general reason for them moving out of Blackpool? What seems to be
99% retirement. 99% retirement. Only 1%
Now-
people who just give up.
Okay. All right. So it's really because of their age and their ability to keep the thing running that they're leaving. So there is good money in it. And but judged by how big your smile is, are you pleased that you took the hotels that you have?
Okay, so there's three things here that you need to be aware of because I'm leveraging long term. One is
Right.
I'm taking these hotels because I want to prove experience to the banks.
Okay.
Because I applied for, initially when I applied for a freehold hotel back in the days, I only got 50% proposed, okay? So I'm planning long-term, so the purpose of, and the second is, am I making money at the moment? Once all the private accommodations are rented out and all the setup money has been made back, which is what I'm doing at the moment, I will be sitting on 50% profits.
Good. Okay. So you're fairly
Makes sense.
pleased you've done it. And as you say, it's hard work.
Look, I think, John, you would know this, and I'm not sharing to justify or anything. My PEN business is 99% automation, okay? I wake up some days and I have nothing to do. I literally had, when I say I had nothing to do. I used to wake up literally mornings, I had no work to do. I had to find something to make more money. And not more in the sense that I need more money, but I wanted to make more money because there's nothing for me to do, okay? Because
Yeah,
there's so much
you
automation.
need-
So for me, it's like filling up my hours at this moment, which is not necessarily a best practice, but at the same time, filling up those hours, making more money, and proving that experience long-term to a point where we'd own maybe a hotel with 100 plus rooms, okay? So I'm leveraging this on multiple levels to be able to get to that point. For me, making 20, 30 grand is not the key. I can make that money from a single deal, okay? That's not where it's at.
Yep.
It's about proving that experience, creating enough automation, okay? And getting to a point where we have 100, 200, 500 room hotel, which is then on 99% automation, and that creates a decent, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense because I want people to see through this. My aim is not to take a 10-bedroom hotel, okay? That's not what my skills are for, okay? It's about proving your experience. It's almost like I walk into the bank and I say, these guys, you know what? I can run a 5-bedroom, 500-bedroom hotel. And they look at me and start laughing. Have you run a hotel? I can tell them I can. I know I can, but they don't believe me. So I have to prove my ability to do it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So this
this
is working towards that.
You have to take up golf. Most of the deal is done.
You'd be surprised that where we are about to buy a property, there's 3 golf courses.
Yeah, but see, most of the deals are a handshake in the 19th hole in the bar. So you play the golf and you do the deal. It's the best place to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? All right. Okay.
Yeah, Jack. Sorry. Yeah, just a small question. Just say if we bought one of those hotels, up to 15 beds, and we put 50%, and after about a year, 2 years, when we start running our business properly and stuff, are we able to sort of do the revaluation of the hotel and try to take money out, or how does that work?
I've not tested it, but I'm pretty sure if you do a good job, you can pull out some of the money.
Okay.
I always say if you do a good job, because if you don't do a good job, then I'm sorry, no one can help you.
That's right. Yeah. No, with the property, with the houses, I mean, you can put the value on it, and you can get some money out.
And let me share
with the hotels.
But here is something, Suraj, you need to be aware of, which a lot of people ignore, okay? You can't set up a hotel unless you're here. You can't run a hotel unless you are in close proximity. Or you have a very, very good, reliable staff. If you don't find a good staff, you can't be living in London and running a hotel in Blackpool. It's just not going to happen, okay?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I said right at the start, and I was insisting on this, and I'll repeat again, I'm leveraging proximity and volume, okay? If you don't do that, I cannot promise if you're going to be profitable, or for that matter, you could lose money.
Yeah.
Okay. My unique point is I'm using volume and proximity to make a lot more money. Okay. If you don't use that to your leverage, please consider if that's what you want to do in the first place. All right, guys, I'm gonna, this is today's first session, so we're gonna come back in 5-10 minutes.